Hello, 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 everyone. Welcome to another episode of Keeping It Cool with Coach Powell slash Coffee Tea, You and Me, making it work for small businesses everywhere. I am so glad that you took a moment to stop what you're doing, spend some time, share with me to help you improve your business, improve your success ratio, make sure that you're doing everything that you can possibly do to multiply your talents and your God given gifts and put them in the place where they can be used the most. My name is Coach Powell Training Development, and this is our weekly broadcast that we put on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Instagram simultaneously to help entrepreneurs, business leaders, executives of all types figure out how and when to put their best foot forward and to make the world turn. As you all know, I am a small business advocate. Anything small, women and minority owned, disabled, veterans, these are the people that I love to work with and work with best. If you happen to know anybody who should be paying attention to this show, over 100 episodes we've delivered every Friday, have them get in touch with me, share this with them. Don't leave them out. It's not fair. It's not right. And why should you? It's free. So do me a favor. If you like what we're doing and what we've been doing, make sure you share the show. Make sure you give us a thumbs up. Make sure that you comment in the comment section. Now, unfortunately, today's broadcast for some reason can't get on Facebook. That's why I started a little slow. I don't know what's going on with Facebook, but we're still on Instagram. We're still on LinkedIn. We're still on YouTube. So wherever you're watching us from, don't worry. I am going to repost this episode to make sure that it's available in every channel that we normally cover. So you'll be able to get to it on those places. Today, I'm going to do some special stuff. And before we get into the show, I want to kind of let you guys know just literally what I've been up to because I've been losing my mind with activity and opportunities and advancing things that have been going on in the world. And I just want to share a few things with you. First of all, we are back to delivering our wonderful event, AI, technology, and environmental justice for community leaders who care about our environment and they want to make sure that they know everything they need to know to create the environment where they can embrace technology and make sure there's a win-win solution for them and their communities. We're talking about teaching them how to break past all of the secrets that the data center communities and their legislatures and everybody has when it comes to stopping the community from getting what they want from these industrial processes and these strategies. We're talking about breaking through and creating the kinds of community benefit agreements and community benevolent associations and organizations to receive the benefits that they want to have from all of these partners and data centers and fusion technologies and organizations that are going to come into their neighborhoods, coming into their system, even if it's telecom, it doesn't matter what technology is coming into your environment. We have the tools to teach you how to deal with procurement, to teach you how to deal with um, zoning, and teach you how to deal with the by right issues that you're going to bump into and your communities are going to bump into when it comes to having things there that you really don't want and having it in a way that's not conducive to the environment, to the development of the community and everything forward. So if you're interested in that course, or you're interested in sharing that course with someone in your community, let me know. We've been more than happy to set it up. It's absolutely free. We provide breakfast and lunch. So it's a full day course. It's always going to be on a Saturday. It will never be any other time. And so make sure that you follow through with us. Make sure you communicate with us. The course is back online and we're ready to go. We have all of the third party materials we have and all the validation and everything we need to have to make sure that a robust experience is there for the community, to make sure the community gets what they want. By the way, it's built on the chassis of the NAACP's Environmental Justice Program. So there really is no excuse for you not to have this course available for you in your neighborhood. Well, if you represent an environmental organization and you truly want to educate the community, you get on board and you sponsor this course and you make sure that you're aligned with everything that is needed to help the community develop and grow versus just saying no because you don't understand what's actually available and what's actually could be done to get what the community needs. Um, that's thing one. Thing two, last Monday, I had the blessing, the gift that is the opportunity to attend, although briefly, because I had to run an amazing program from the US Black Chamber of Commerce. To me, it was like old homes week. I kept bumping into my friends and people that I've known for years here in the Washington metropolitan area, doing business and resolving opportunities. And if you pay attention to what I post on LinkedIn or Facebook, then you're going to see all the pictures and everything that we did. So if you haven't joined me on those places, now is the time because I want to bring you into the fun. I want to bring you into the connections. There are people that I met, people that I know, people I'm connected to that I've deepened those relationships. They've told me what they're looking for and what they want, and they're available for you. If you're in business, you need to be connected to me. We need to be communicating. We need to be collaborating on new, better opportunities that you can find. And we have the team in place. Speaking of the team, we've also developed a special initiative called the Dulles Collaborative Edge. Now, what's the Dulles Collaborative Edge? The Dulles Collaborative Edge is actually the brainchild of myself, Shumate Engineering, and Team Network. We've come together to create a supercharged, um, literally valuable membership team of individuals who are all about the data center industry up and down the supply chain, from the zoning and procurement and the small business initiatives all the way up to the data center providers, hardware, software, wiring, construction, everything in between, the zoning, the planning, everything that you can imagine when it comes to standing up brilliance in the data center world, the data center community. The reason why this thing is so unique, because we're doing it on behalf of the community. We're doing it on behalf of the small businesses that don't often get a chance to work with these hyperscalers because for whatever reason they say they can't find them. They don't know how to work with them. Whatever excuses they have, why we could taking them all off the table because the only members of our group are at the top of their game. They are the experts in every situation. They're going to be the best people to go work for the Defense Logistics Agency. They're going to be the best people to put in front of your environmental groups or the people that want to be able to talk to the people about what's going on in all these data centers and so on and so forth. That open up the conversation, get behind all those, put all the negative stereotypes and the lies behind you and start thinking about what's possible with the right people in the right place at the right time for your businesses and your communities. And we're all about that strategy and all about creating those collaborative partnerships and arrangements. So I hope you're following what we're doing with the Dulles Collaborative Edge. I'm going to put a short little brief video in the chat for you to pick up and work through. So definitely take a look at that. If you got some feedback, some thoughts on this thing, somebody we should be talking to join, don't hold back. Don't keep this opportunity or any opportunity from someone else, especially someone who deserves it. I'm going to challenge you to do that. I'm going to challenge you to put this information and others information in front of the people who truly deserve it. Because there are people out there who are suffering right now because they don't have a voice. They don't have a way to win, to work with others, to create a team, to work. They don't have it. They can't afford it, and they wouldn't even think of it. But maybe you could thought of something you could put them in front of and get it. So definitely put the Dulles Collaborative Edge in front of people. In fact, I had a post for it and I wanted to share with people, but I lost it. So now I'm going to spend a couple seconds back on my YouTube channel um, to pick this up for you guys because I really want to make sure that you get an opportunity to see it and understand what it's all about. And I think I have a video that's going to be, yeah, there we go. We'll use that one. That one's only 55 seconds, but it's a pretty good one. It's a pretty good one. And if you subscribe to our YouTube channel for the Dulles Collaborative Edge, I promise you'll be able to see all the videos we post and all the things that we have about the organization will be right there at your fingertips. And let me make sure I got it here. Now, a lot of the work that I get to do comes from understanding and knowing how to appropriately collaborate with others. So I'm going to give a couple shout outs before I get into today's content. And today's content is you're not going to believe how wonderful it is. So just hang in there with me for a second. I got to give a couple shout outs. First shout out I got to give is to my wonderful partner and friend, Dr. Sandra Marie of the Women's Business Network that is the Miss Corporate America DC program. Miss Corporate America DC program is an uplifting and empowering program for women, specifically right here in the Washington, D.C. area, and it's connected to a national organization where women can learn and find the sisterhood and the corporate development strategies they need to elevate their careers. So it's available for all women in the Washington metropolitan area, and we want to collaborate and coordinate with you to make sure that you have the best of the best. So I am the VP, just be full disclosure, I am the VP of the DC branch of this thing, and we want to make sure we contact and communicate with as many super powerful women here in the DMV as possible. So if you have anybody that you're thinking about that meet that criteria in your mind, there's a mover and a shaker, somebody who has influence and is super talented and they're ready to take their careers and their livelihood to the next level, you want to have them get in contact with us because we got the right stuff for them. It's going to be an amazing program for the rest of this year and the next year. And I'm looking forward to doing everything we can to support them. Definitely give us a call. Definitely follow up with us. My number's running across the stream. That's shout out number one. Shout out number two. Gotta shout out my boy Mark Evans, a DC super genius when it comes to all things technology implementation, and building websites and doing all those amazing things. You gotta if you need a contact, you need somebody who can help your business move forward. This is the person you want me to put you in contact with, but you got to reach out to me in order to get to Mark, because I'm not going to have people just calling him and talking to him about whatever that is. But I promise you, it is the right stuff. When you start to see stuff that we're producing from um, the Dulles Collaborative Edge, you're going to see what I'm talking about. And you're going to understand it. Okay. Do I have any more shout outs to give? Any more announcements? One more announcement. We have, again, we're standing up our next business networking session, and this is going to be literally on the date is already chosen. It's going to be on the 6th of August at the Tower Club. The 6th of August at the Tower Club. We're doing a professional business networking program. I want to make sure I pop that in the chat as well. So if I forget, make sure you guys remind me. You got to come. If you're in Northern Virginia, you got to get a ticket. You got to come. It's absolutely free. However, I would love it if you actually bought a ticket, because the ticket comes with raffle tickets, and we're going to be giving away tons of prizes and gifts and so on and so forth. And so you want to get your raffle ticket online at the event stop before you get to the meetup, because if you get to the meeting and it's against in a physical meeting, if you get there and you don't have your ticket already, the raffle tickets are going to be really, really expensive. And I want my friends who follow me, who understand where I'm all about, I want you to, because we're contributing this all going to charity, but I want you to help us participate and grow in that charity, that my fraternity brothers have put together. It's an amazing charity. You're going to love it. And the event is called Elevate: An Evening of Connection and Impact. And again, it's sponsored by Shoemate Engineering and the Brothers of Phi Beta Sigma. You are absolutely going to love it. We're not going to do any of that boring networking stuff. This is all going to be exciting. High impact, low drag, serious opportunities for everyone to get involved and do amazing things, grow your business, grow your impact in your communities that you're trying to get to. And let's make sure we do it right, and we do it with joy and happiness. And we get the benefit of local charity that's doing amazing things to give scholarships to young students who deserve those opportunities. So if you want that, make sure you check it out. I'm going to post it in the chat right now. Boop, 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 boop. There you go. Okay, one last thing before we get into the session today. Today's topic is super, super special. Like all of our topics are super, super special, but none of them is more special than you. If you are a business and you have something to offer, I don't care if it's a website, I don't care if it's an event coming up, I don't care, whatever it is, put that information in the chat. If you just want to give us a shout out, announce where you're coming from, who you are, whatever that is, put it in the chat. We need you to communicate, to collaborate, to coordinate, to elevate along with everyone else. And we want to make sure this is a business friendly opportunity. So I don't want anybody feeling like they're being holding back or being let down or being left out or felt set aside or whatever. None of that is what we're about. So we want you to put your information out there. If you want to just put your contact information, if you want to put, whatever business opportunities you have in front of you, a book sale, an event you got going on, anything that you're doing that you want people to pay attention to, and you can link it to something, put it in the chat so that we can all take advantage of what you're doing and connect with you. Speaking of, if you haven't already connected with me on LinkedIn, you probably should. And we're going to keep the party going. Okay, today's topic is again super special. You guys know I'm all about helping small businesses and helping businesses elevate and create, but I sometimes don't give you really true live examples, and I always give you true examples, but I don't give you live examples. And I'm going to give today's topic is going to be based on live stuff that I'm working with the Dulles Collaborative Edge. And what we're going to be talking about today is literally defining your brand beyond the visuals, beyond the logo, beyond the website and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, how do you define your brand and how do you elevate your brand? How do you talk to other people about it? How do you communicate about your brand? And what I'm going to be doing is sharing the same exact examples and tools that I'm going to be using with the team members of the Dulles Collaborative Edge to do so. So if you're a chamber leader, if you're in a chamber, you're a chamber leader, or you're an association member, or you're a leader of an association, if you should be attending your association a little bit at a different level and so on and so forth. And by the way, everybody should belong to some association somewhere. I don't care if it's a social service organization or an actual business association. You need to find ways to belong, and you need to find ways to create that strategy that allows your belonging to be connected to a higher level of thinking and working. So it doesn't matter if you're a fraternity, sorority, it doesn't matter what groups you belong, even the church, what groups you belong to. You need to learn how to understand the brand of that organization beyond just here's our logo and here's a statement or whatever about what we're doing. So we're going to be able to help tell you how to do that. If you listen to us today, we're going to tell you how to create the language and generate the language and share the language of your brand so that everybody can be basically shooting from the same script. We're going to talk about how you strengthen what we call cross-functional alignment. So no matter what thousand things your organization does, the brand unifies all those things so that you can now make sure that whenever you're speaking about what you do or what your organization is, or whether you're talking to someone about your organization, you're not talking about just the one thing, you're actually elevating the entire brand in a way that's going to be exciting and interesting and so on and so forth. That's thing two. Thing three we're going to talk about today is how do you practice translating your strategy, overall strategy, into practical messaging that's going to make some sense for yourself, for your team, for your advisories, or anybody that you're collaborating or coordinating with. They need to totally understand how to not just understand your brand, but to communicate your brand. And they need practical messaging and do that. So we're going to talk about how to practice that. And then we're going to talk about how you turn everybody that you work with, inside, outside, whatever in your organization, into a brand ambassador, into a steward of your brand. And I can't think of a more exciting topic to share. And so I'm going to share that topic with you today. We're going to do it in sort of from the lens of the Dulles Collaborative Edge, because that's what I'm working on right now. And that's happening in real time. And I think, you can learn in real time from, what we're planning to do and understand why you should be doing the same or similar. So hang in there with me. It's not going to be like, oh, this is exactly about you, but it is about you. And so I'm gonna need you to do the translation because I got to be, really sharing the technique, the tactics, the strategy with you. Okay, the Dulles Collaborative Edge. This thing is designed for executive audiences across engineering, policy, finance, operations, and development. It's structured as an interactive conversation rather than a lecture, right? This particular branding thought and idea. Our job here is to help partners understand and internalize all of the brand systems, all the brand ideology, all of the brand things so that we can extend beyond the visual identification. Because your brand, quite frankly, is not just your logo. It's not just the colors that you choose or the fonts that you choose. It's how people experience what it is you bring to the table. So let's talk about the shared language, first of all. When you have understood, one, the language that you should be sharing, that unifies and collects everything across your brand, right? We're talking about your mission, your value, and the role that you may play or your brand may play in the area or the region or the niche that you play in. What is your mission? What is your value? And what is the role that you play in your niche? So if you do this right, you're not going to rely on somebody else's individual interpretation of what you bring to the table. You're not going to have inconsistent explanations from different members of your team or different members of your advisory council or different members of your board of directors or whoever that you have given the opportunity to represent your brand. And by the way, you should give that opportunity to anybody and everybody because that's how you get your brand really truly out there amongst the people in a way that the people can understand it, right? So you want everybody that you touch to have a clear understanding of not just what your logo and your colors and your fonts are, but you want to communicate your brand in a way that's credible, consistent, and relevant to different audiences. Let me repeat that. You got to figure out how to communicate your brand in a way that's credible, consistent, and relevant to different audiences. So that's happened. That's thing one. That's all about developing and sharing a shared language. The second thing you got to do is you have to strengthen cross-functional alignment because the conversations that you have that bring together perspectives from various different departments and different angles of your organization, engineering, policy, finance, operations, development, community engagement, no matter where you look at it, your teams can better understand what every sector of your organization needs and wants to share. And what your audience now values is how your organization can serve as a coordination platform across all of the priorities within your organization. So before you can go and establish, okay, this is the language I'm going to use, you got to talk to all of your team members and all of your team leaders specifically, that you understand their priorities and their goals and what they're trying, who they're trying to serve. Most importantly, internally and externally, who's their client, right? You got to put that together before you can come up with a unifying brand message. All right, the third thing you got to do is you got to practice translating the business operation strategy into practical messages. And you do that through engaging exercises with your team members or associates. You need to learn how to connect the mission, the narrative, the tone, and the messaging pillars with your audience within a value proposition that is based on concise statements that you can use in meetings, in briefings, in proposals, partner conversations, and public facing communications. Again, this is a super important part of business development, but don't just leave it to those that you've empowered to do business development. Everybody has to know how to do it. How do I deliver a consistent message about the brand of our organization in every meeting, in every briefing, in every proposal, every potential partner conversation, every piece of public facing communication? And it's more than just the logo or the um, fonts and colors that you would choose. You got to understand that or you can't do it. The fourth thing that you got to talk about, and we're gonna see if we can't give you some ideas about, is how do you help people see themselves as the stewards of your brand and not go, well, that's somebody else's responsibility to share that. That's somebody else's. idea. That's somebody else's thought process. I can't get involved with that because I'm busy doing blah, blah, blah. No one can afford on any team today not to be good at being a brand steward, being a brand ambassador, and sharing the good news about what it is the organization is up to and what it is the organization is doing with a level of consistency while still being able to adapt the message to the audience, the context, and the opportunity that's in front of them. So, again, put your thoughts about brand in the chat. How do you develop a shared language? What do you do to create and strengthen cross-functional alignment? How and what are the best strategies that you've come up with or that you've seen to practice translating your strategy into practical messages? And how do you develop people so they can become brand ambassadors and team stewards for your organization? So most organizations, unfortunately, think they have a brand because they have a logo. But a logo without a mission, a narrative tone, messaging pillars, and an audience value proposition is just decoration. It's just pretty colors on the screen. It's just, quite frankly, it frustrates me to no end to even think about logo and font and color choices and stuff. So I know they're important, but that's just the window dressing. The meat is what we're going to help you align with when it comes to deeper elements that make your organization recognizable, credible, and consistent, no matter who is speaking. What is one word that you want people to associate with your organization? If I were you, I will look at everybody in my team, everybody I was associated with, and begin to have people think about that one word. What is the one word that defines you that people think about? And start collecting 3 to 5 responses for that same question for everybody involved. Give them all in the team, call it a brainstorming, brainwriting, call it whatever you want to call it, but collaborate with everybody and get them all thinking about 3 to 5 different words that they can think of or that define who your organization is to them, right? What their organization, what they think your organization represents to them, to the rest of the world, to everybody that's a stakeholder, anybody who would care. Then I want you to collect all those ideas and see where there's consistency and see where there's agreement. How many people said the same thing? Where are you seeing people repeat over and over and over and over again? Because now you're getting closer to creating a mission narrative that's going to make sense to your team. But if you do this without collecting their ideas, you have no clue about how they're experiencing your organization or your brand. And the purpose of doing this is to anchor everyone in a shared narrative, a shared story of why your organization exists. Right? Now, with my organization, with the Dulles Collaborative Edge, this is a regional coordinating engine for distributed infrastructure. It unites operators, engineers, policymakers, financiers, and developers. This mission narrative must be clear enough that any partner can repeat it confidently, just like that. They ask my ask, what is the Dulles Connective Edge? Well, it's a regional coordinating engine for distributed infrastructure. What do you mean by that? Well, we unite operators, engineers, policymakers, financiers, and developers under one umbrella to help everybody coordinate and partner well. Ask every participant in your organization to complete a sentence like this. Our organization exists to blank and collect like 4 to 6 responses from them, right? And then introduce a mission aligned narrative. Again, this is how you begin to discover and use a narrative that people are aligned with. For example, the Dulles Collaborative Edge strengthens the Dulles region by aligning infrastructure, policy, and industry partners to build a resilient, innovative, and community-centered future. And after we've done all that work, this is what we can come up with. This is what we can memorize. This is what when people say, well, who are you? This is the statement that unifies, aligns, does all the things we talked to you about earlier, right? What's the tone? Now, this is basically established a mission narrative. The next thing you want to do is you want to establish a tone. How does your organization sound? How, in our case, how does the Dulles Collaborative Edge sound? You need to establish a voice for your organization so the communications feel consistent across partners, across sectors, and every setting, right? It needs to be executive, means it has to be clear, concise, and authoritative. It needs to be collaborative, means it needs to be inclusive and multi-sector. It needs to be forward-leaning, meaning it has to be innovative and anticipatory. It needs to be neutral, non-political, and region-focused. So how do you do that? You may do an exercise like this, where you create a couple of different statements and ask which one of these sounds more like our organization. In our case, which one sounds more like the Dulles Collaborative Edge? Option A, we're working on data center issues with local partners. Or option B, we convene regional partners to co-design the next generation of distributed infrastructure. Which one do you think makes sense? Put it in the chat. Option A or option B? Here's why it's important. If you get what I've already said, then you already know the option is B. But what has to happen is if you are in your organization, you have to discuss why whatever option that you think it should be is the better statement to reflect the tone that you want to have. In my case, this one, the Dulles Collaborative Edge, the option B is more strategic, more collaborative, and more future oriented. And that's what I want it to be. Right. So after I've collected all the data, listened to all my people, listened to all the associates, listened to everybody around, we put together something that makes sense. It feels like it needs to be, like it needs to feel. It has the right tone, strategic, collaborative, and future oriented. The next thing you want to do is then discover your message pillars. What are the fundamental structures that give your message life? Because you want your partners to have the building blocks they need so they can communicate the brand consistently about your organization, right? So when you come about these pillars, you got to think about 5 different things, right? You got to think about 1, how do we demonstrate regional coordination? 2, how do we demonstrate and say and talk about innovation and distributed infrastructure? 3, how do we find and demonstrate cross-sector alignment? 4, how do we share community impact? 5, how do we talk about economic competitiveness? These are our 5 pillars, and the messaging has to be there. And so, number 1, for regional coordination, you have to align the jurisdictions and the industries. Well, a lot of that's already in the name, the Dulles Collaborative Edge. I'll give you more about that in just a second. Number 2, innovative and distributed infrastructure. What are we actually doing? We're advancing cooling, energy, and digital systems. All right. Number 3, cross-sector alignment. We're connecting engineering, policy, finance, and operations. Community impact. We're supporting development that benefits the residents and the ecosystem. Number five, economic competitiveness. We're strengthening the region's leadership position. Anybody and everybody who falls under our umbrella is going to be excited about any part of what I just said, right? The regional coordination, aligning jurisdictions and industries. People across various different industries are going to be excited. Innovation and distributed infrastructure, advancing cooling energy and digital systems. People who are involved in those specific systems are going to be excited. Cross-sector alignment, connecting engineering, policy, finance, and operations. People who function in those spaces are going to be interested. Community impact, supporting development that benefits residents and ecosystems. Nobody's pissed about anything that benefits residents and ecosystems, but you have to be able to communicate it effectively. That's what we're trying to do. And then it's economic competitiveness, strengthening the region's leadership position. Of course, every regional leader, every economic development authority, every supervisor, county council, anybody that's a leader, they want to make sure that their leadership and their brand stands out head and shoulders above the rest, and they want partners to participate in that example. So here's an interactive exercise. You might want to take the people that you're working with to help you create those messaging pillars, to break the participants into pairs and ask each to craft one sentence message using any of the two pillars that we've already discussed. And once you've done that, you can invite the 2 or 3 pairs to share their sentences aloud and briefly discuss why these pillars are most visible in each example. Right? So again, you don't want to do any of this stuff by yourself. You want to get your whole team, all of your stakeholders together, as many as you possibly can, to start to do, again, I prefer brain writing as a technology. And if you want me to teach you that, just put it in the chat. I'll teach it to you at some other episode. Over brainstorming, because brainstorming has a lot of different negative things that come out of it. It's not as fast. It doesn't give you as many ideas. It kind of separates people into strong versus the weak in terms of that. You don't want that. You want people to feel aligned, and you want people to feel together. And so you have to use brain writing. That's just the best technique. And if you don't know what it is, you want to look it up. Look it up. If you want me to teach it to you, ask me. I'll teach it to you. Okay. So section 4. The next thing you got to do is audience value propositions. What is it that you want your organization messaging to resonate with each sector by connecting the brand promise to what each audience values most? Now, here it is. If you don't know what your audience values most, it's going to be very hard for you to do that. So you got to do some real marketing, right? You got to figure out what the operators and the engineers want to hear about and talk about. You got to figure out what the policymakers want to hear about and talk about. You got to figure out what the developers and the real estate leaders want to hear about and talk about, what the community leaders want to hear about and talk about, what the financing and investor people want to hear about and talk about, or you're not going to be able to create messaging that brings them all together. These are the audiences that the Dulles Collaborative Edge wants to serve. So we got to figure out how to make sure that we're using languages that work for them, for operators and engineers. They want a forum to solve shared technological challenges and accelerate infrastructure innovation. For policymakers, they want trusted partners for data-driven decisions and regional alignment. For developers and real estate leaders, they want collaborative environments that reduce friction and increase predictability. For community leaders, they want transparency. They want inclusive platforms for shaping responsible growth. For financing and investors, they want credible ecosystems that reduce risk and increases opportunities. So if you don't have this language already worked out, and you happen to be talking to an engineer and you approach that engineer like you're talking to a community leader, then you're going to miss the boat. The value proposition is not going to work. If you're talking to a real estate investment, a real estate leader of some type or development or an investor, then and you talk to them like a policymaker, then again, you're going to miss the boat. So you got to learn how to have the overall umbrella conversation, and then you have to have the specific conversation with the value and make the right value propositions to the right people in the right way. So what I would do and what I'm planning to do for our organization is I'm going to ask each participant to choose one audience that they work with most and identify the one thing that that audience cares about most, and then connect each response back to the relevant proposition so that they can see how the brand adapts without losing consistency. Do I have to explain to y'all why that's important? I think you get it. I hope you get it. But if you don't, again, ask me the question in the comment section, and I'll make sure I go into deeper detail about that, why it's important. But I think it speaks for itself. If you don't connect the right messages to the right people in the right way at the right time, you're not going to have that consistency. And most importantly, your people are just not going to say anything at all because they don't know what to say to who. All right. Now, section 5, we're going to be putting it all together. You have to demonstrate how the mission, narrative, the tone, the messaging pillars, and the audience value propositions work together to create a unified brand. In our case, right, we want to select a real Dulles collaborative edge activity, such as a roundtable, a pilot project, an infrastructure briefing, a policy discussion, and ask the group to help craft 2 sentences of a description that reflects all 4 brand elements: the mission narrative, the tone, the messaging pillars, and the audience value proposition. An example output after we've done that work might be something like this: the Dulles Collaborative Edge convenes operators, policymakers, and developers to co-design innovative distributed infrastructure solutions. By aligning regional priorities and community needs, we strengthen the Dulles region's competitiveness and support responsible, predictable growth. Now that's a statement. That is a brand statement that when one hears it and they fit within any of those um, priorities or needs or value propositions, it's going to hit them right there in their reticular activator. They're going to go, wow, I want to know more. I want to hear more. I want to talk about more. Now, the last thing we want to talk about is how you develop the brand stewardship mindset, because you have to do this with all of your people. If you're a leader, I don't care if you're leading a department or you're leading an entire organization or you're leading a little tiny community group or whatever, you have to figure out how to create stewardship and ambassadors, brand stewardship and brand ambassadors out of everybody you work with, everybody you talk to, everybody you have has a stakeholder understanding or referral understanding or any type of collaborative understanding of what you're doing. When every partner can articulate your mission, your tone, the pillars, and the value propositions, the brand can then become self-sustaining. When people can't do it, you got leakage in the boat. All right, because people's opportunity to then to then build credibility across the sectors, across the region is lost. Again, let me share this with you. And you need to understand this. Your brand is not a logo. It is the shared meaning that we create together. Let me say that again. It is the shared meaning that we create together. You can't do this by yourself. You shouldn't do this by yourself. If you find yourself doing this by yourself, you're doing it wrong. The next step I would suggest for you to do is to get your people together and take them through some of the exercises that we just talked about. If you want to know specifically more about how to do it, you got specific questions about how to do it, my number is scrolling across the screen. Why? Because I want to answer your questions. Let's make sure that you don't find yourself wondering, well, what is my brand? You should be able to know. There's no organizations that I've been a part of, there's no organizations that I have created or generated that we haven't gone through these exercises. And what I'm telling you is absolutely crystal clear and true all the time. You are responsible for helping your entire team, your entire organization create, develop, and then transmit your brand message and your priorities in a way that others can receive it. I don't care if you're introvert or extrovert, none of that matters. What matters is you establish that technique, you establish that strategy, and you do the work. Okay, I've had a good time. I know this is a pretty long session today, so I apologize. I'm going to give a shout out to my boy Zuri, and he's out there. I see you, Z. Good to see you, bro. I'm gonna give you that old my favorite Marine is out there taking a look at it. And I see Maria and I see Jason. Oh my God, there's so many of my friends that are watching today. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. I love you, love you, love you. I can't wait to spend more time with you guys. Um, come out to the networking function that we're going to be doing on August the 6th. Did I put that in the chat already? I think I did, but just in case I didn't, let me put it out there again because I want to make sure that nobody had no excuse. Marvin, you didn't tell me about the thing that you were doing at the Tower Club, and I wanted to come and and we're not doing any of that. We're going straight to the truth, and here it is. Boom. That's the Eventbrite. Again, if you get a chance to sign up, please do. And it's only popping up on YouTube. So I got to put it over on the LinkedIn chat, which I'm going to do. And I'll do that after the show is over. If you have any questions about brand priority, brand messaging, brand strategy, put the question in the chat and or call me and we can talk about it. All right. God bless you guys. Have a good evening. And we are keeping it pushing. Bye now.